that some safety can be created through that. So maybe they've just heard the murmurs, they've just put 2 and 2 together and say, let's keep it conventional. Speaking of conventionality, no Sonataric ban in this game number 3, and the Kalista taken out third by G2.
So they are expecting the Jarvan priority, or they're actually leaving both open. So they're saying, all right, if you want Jarvan, we'll take Sylas. If you want Sylas, we'll take Jarvan. But obviously the next question is, what does G2 have prepared to deal with this Sylas pick?
You asked the question. Nobody knows.
Well, I don't have the answer. Oh, but look at this answer immediately from G2. The Galio has been let through, so now immediately G2 have drafted not only a strong early game, but they're setting up for a strong 2v2 towards the bot side of the map.
And red side Jarvan does this because you can take Jarvan X and engage support, something like the Galio, and create a game state that will always persist, whatever the lane assignment, and it doesn't even say you have to team fight. So that's what Jarvan, in lieu of Sylas, has provided. We're going to get a very, very standard jungle matchup overall, but the tankiness advantage should be on G2.
And SKT do what they often do, which is rather than go for the Nautilus or Morgana, they default to the Braum. The disengaged support, the one that matches up very well into many opposition. They can pair it up with the Lucian as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see G2 take that one off the board, and it's the first ban immediately.
The nameplate's on as well. Remember that a lot of Mata's struggles with this tournament were on Nautilus. Had a very unconvincing game on this pick. You're going to an ultra comfort for him. Wherever he went around the world, he would default to Braum, and comfort in this 1-1 stalemate scenario can hold a lot of water.
And now we need to find out in the one-on-ones, what will these solo laners be running? G2 Esports still holding all of their cards. They've seen Sylas on the table, and Irelia is now banned. Lucian Ezreal taken off the table along with that Kalista. Teddy's going to be digging a little bit deeper down this pool.
Yes.
Yesterday we saw the Sivir coming out from Double Lift. I'm wondering what options SKT want to run.
And I love the bans because you're banning 2 champions that can fight earlier, and you're saying, take the Sivir. Late game's wonderful, but it was the late game that never came in game number 2, and I don't think that SKT can afford to take inferior early game tools. And speaking of late game, the Vladimir is a bit of both.
So let's just notice the difference between game 1 and game 3 now for G2. They were hesitant to lock in the Sonataric, whereas this time around, their drafts and picks are immediate. They've locked in the Galio Jarvan, they knew the Kai'Sa, immediate lock-in of the Vladimir. This is the prep that G2 came in with day 1, and as you said, Papa Smithy, looks like they're just sticking to it.
On the side of SKT, have to blind pick. It's going to be Kennen and the obvious Sylas first pick here, but 80 carry pick here is interesting. If you pick Varus, you're going to get team fought womboed to death. The Vayne is what they hovered and would have more tools to self-peel. The Varus would be super early game, and you'd have to ride the storm through from the early laning phase.
So the risk of running a Varus is that he doesn't have those mobility tools or escapes, so against a heavy dive comp like Vladimir, Kai'Sa, Jarvan, Galio...
all the champions locked in.
It can be very challenging, and wow, we're actually going to get to see Caps' Azir going up against Faker. This is exciting.
Oh, but I'm nervous because win lane, win game has helped define this series, and there's some scary solo laners here if G2 fall behind.
But the Azir can win lane in the 1v1. It's not like there was a struggle in the 1v1 versus the LeBlanc. It was the roam potential. And now the onus on Faker, someone who at his best could still be considered someone who wants to look for individual lane advantages rather than spread leads like Caps, who is kind of cavalier and leaving at level 3. Faker might have to change his innate identity to make this work.
Well, G2 Esports creative, explosive, inventive team. Caps has debuted his first ever Morgana and now his first Azir of the year, and it's against SK Telecom.
Now, I'm really excited for this matchup because in the top lane, I feel like SKT should have priority early. Kennen does very well into the Vladimir. In the mid lane, I feel like the Azir doesn't actually have that much wave clear, so Faker should also be able to gain decent priority when you combine his Q with his passive. The bot lane is the one I have question marks around about who gains priority early, when are the big spikes, but the fact that SKT actually have 2 pushing solo lanes means that Klid should have access to the enemy jungle early, and that's been one of the defining features in allowing SKT to get ahead throughout this tournament.
And I'm a big fan of the Varus roam. I think they'll be fine outside of shenanigans level 1. I think SKT need to be just decisive and inventive about their level 1 in game number 1 against Sonataric as they are here. They have a lot of on-paper advantages, but 3 flashes blown at level 1, and suddenly the paper's ripped up and it's all up in the air.
And of course, game 1, those level 1 kills really going in favor of SKT and helping them accelerate their lead. We saw a little bit of play from G2 toying with some level 1s as the game has, as the series has unfolded. So I want to track their decision making and also then take a closer look at some of these keystones and decision-making here. As it stands, SK Telecom leaving the base, and I'll see where G2 goes.
Gotta give a quick shout out to my boy Endo back in Europe. The Hail of Blades on the Rek'Sai, it is the preferred rune choice for him because of how much extra early game power that it does give very quickly to proc that triple Q and then into the true damage bite means that you have a lot of early skirmishing power.
And I want you to draw your attention to Caps, who has gone teleport to try to follow any potential roam timings from Faker. That means it's in lieu of a summoner spell, usually a defensive one like a barrier or a cleanse. He doesn't have that, and Clid would love to combo into the mid lane if possible.
Now, you talked about level 1s, Papa Smithy. What we're seeing from SKT is gaining early vision towards the bot side of the map. They want to get information on where the Jarvan is starting and what this Rek'Sai can do with the priority that he should gain early. But given that there is no vision on the top side, right now, SKT have no information as to where Jankos is.
Well, you just mentioned Clid, Vedius, and I want to take a look at some of his stats from the group stage. This does not include the 2 previous games. Second highest jungle proximity, second highest kills plus assists, kill participation nearly 90%, and it's a fantastic performance. Game 1, that's what it felt like Clid was doing, but his buy left something to be desired.
Again, it's worth knowing that in game number 2 he had less to work with when it came to actually impacting lanes, and the champion was a lot more situational of a ganker. This is where the Clid from MSI 2019 should rear its ugly head if you're a G2 fan, and there are many lanes you could try to hit to potentially get them snowball.
And given that we're talking about junglers, I want to draw attention to the minimap. As you'll see, Jankos actually started on his red buff, passed all the way around behind potential vision, which means that he will not be spotted until now as he makes his way towards the Scuttle Crab, but the Rek'Sai will not be there in time as Clid has chosen to do Crows.
Is likely to launch Clid to the top side to get a 3 camp clear, or could just go for the Raptors and have the level 3 there as well. Wait and see where Clid's first point of ingress is. There should be information available to SKT. They're still level 1, and Jankos was last seen bot lane.
All right, Taunt on Tomata means Perkz gets a lot of damage. Man, that Plasma passive does so much. Red buff, Flag and Drag is available to Jankos, but he doesn't have level 3. Flash and heal still up for Mata, and he's not going to get dove yet.
And if you remember back to the Taliyah Pantheon games in the final, we hold that point in mid lane.
All right, take a look. There's the flash on Burrow. Caps throws his flash down. Not going to get caught out. And he's able to escape with his life, but Mickey may charge the taunt in the bottom lane. I'm holding my breath.
That would have been first blood if they were able to get in there because of no defensive summoner. Mickey's going to walk up. But Mata has gone Guardian heal just in case his lane is camped, like he did against Taliyah Pantheon. Super defensive setup here as they have Cleanse, Heal, and Guardian across the 2 champions.
So what we're actually seeing is that in this early game, it is the duo of Perkz and Mickey that got that early priority. They didn't leash for their jungler, whereas Teddy and Mata did, which means they got that early level 2, and that's why they have so much control. The problem is with Jankos is that because he went for a level 2 gank, Clid has been able to steal away the Raptors, which you can see now, only 1 left, and he's going to steal away the Krog. So Clid using this early game to deny the Jarvan as much as possible and potentially set up a dive in top lane.
Oh, not potentially. There is a dive. Faker's actually teleported in. There is the Sanguine Pool. Wonder's buying some time. Flash is available to him. Jankos may arrive, but it may be too late. First blood is secured by Clid. Now Jankos gets a reply back onto Faker. He's got himself double buffs. Needs to get the cooldowns back if he wants to chase, but instead will just tax the lane. Now we're down in the bottom lane. That's a taunt onto both Teddy and Mata. Cleanse has already been used, and Perkz is running for his life. Summoner heals available on both sides, and Ignite was not used by Mickey. SKT first blood.
And we get some insights into the setups. The double defensive summoners from Mata tell you they're not going to play bot side. They're focusing top and mid. The TP advantage gets them a trade kill, but only a trade.
And as we said in draft, Caps and Faker have agreed to play on the side lanes. Here comes Caps and cleared. Jankos is coming to save the day, looking for the Prey Seeker. Come on, like shooting fish in a barrel. Dun, 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 dun. I'm waiting for the spell. There's the unburrow, and Clid manages to do it. Gets the damage down, sinks in the fangs onto Jankos as well. Here comes Faker as well with the follow-up stun. It's a double. Clid is back.
It had to be. Clid continues to brawl, understands that Rek'Sai has the damage advantage early game. And yes, Cinderhawk Jarvan come in and be a bigger frontliner, but Clid's already 3-0. He's doing exactly what everyone asked for.
Clid could not have played that better and finds SKT some very important early game kills. We talked about how having prior with these solo laners is going to be important for Clid. He's utilized this early game beautifully. He's now level 5 on the Rek'Sai, 3-0-0. He is looking insanely strong.
This is scary if you're on G2 Esports. They're almost down 2,000 gold. And yes, while a large amount of that is obviously in Klid's pockets. He has yet to shop, still sitting on the machete, still clearing, and he's significantly further ahead than Yankov.
And now in a meta with less vision as the years have rolled on, the vision of the game has been less, your jungler's power often becomes like having a mobile control ward, as Mickey has his back stopped there. Because now wherever Klid goes, how are you going to deal with his entire warrior enchant on first back? Suddenly, that's the same as having ward control because everyone's scared of the Rek'Sai.
And what I loved about the play that he actually made in mid was the fact that he interrupted the glide from Cap's E, and because he had no flash, the best that he could do was hope that Jankos could body block. But Klid, with his extremely long cooldown on the E, was just like, well, I'm just waiting for this to come back up. And the moment it was, he turns it into a double.
And the double kill was when Klid had no flash himself and was able to keep up the chase and extend for that kill, so did everything right, and now he is the big unknown that G2 is trying to find tabs on.
Oh, level 6 now for Klid, 6 minutes
He's
into
a big
the
deal.
game.
2 levels ahead of Yankos for the time being. He's going to use the blast cone to hop over the dragon wall, now find himself running into Yankos, who just dinged 5. Klid manages to connect with the Unburrow, and Yankos is at least on the right side of the map to prevent any follow-up. You can see Teddy and Mata shoving the wave all the way into the tower. They are level 5 respectively, and the same is true for Khan. So all 3 of SKT's lanes right now pushing into G2's territory.
If you're wondering, Klid is 500 gold ahead of anyone on the Rift. Second place, the Kennen on the side of SKT.
And that's resulting in a 2,000 goal lead in this early game for SKT right now. We've already talked so much in this series about the team that gets the early lead seems to just run away with the game. And based on how things are going, it's looking good for SKT. But the thing we have to remind our viewers is the scaling on G2. Vladimir, Azir, Kai'Sa. 3 items, or arguably even 2. This team composition in a 5v5 situation is exceptionally strong.
I completely echo your point. In the late game, if they run each other 5v5, SKT required to significantly outplay to even salvage a team fight. So if that clock reads 30, G2 will be sitting pretty.
Let's see if they can get there, though, because that gold lead continues to grow. 2,200. Yankos, no flash available. Flag and drags to safety over the Rift Herald wall. And while that's going on, he's spotted. Klid is now making his way down to the bottom lane.
Now the irony... Ooh, Klid, actually, I don't have time to talk because he's looking for a play. There's no Varus anywhere near, no teleport either.
Teleport is available for Khan. Mickey's going to walk in, get knocked up into the end. Look at that! The Queen's Wrath obliterating Mickey. Yep, I held my breath, manages to escape. The Q was on cooldown.
2 seconds the difference between a casual, and I repeat, casual double kill, or one person getting out there. Klid is just insanely strong.
Halo Blades, Warrior, Rek'Sai, level 6. Really, really strong. If you didn't need further proof, that right there was exactly it.
It was like a jump scare from a movie. Mickey was like, I wonder if I could ward this. Instantly dead.
Yeah, so he's a level 6 Galio. He also has the damage reduction from his W. Don't even know if he gets to use it because he hits him with a Prey Seeker, Q, E. So he used a single Q on top of the Prey Seeker, on top of the E on a second Q and a Smite. Yeah.
You could write songs about this Rek'Sai. It's that powerful.
And it's going to be up to G2 to somehow control this man. It feels like SK Telecom have, to a degree, lived and died by Klid's success. And when he's able to unlock the rest of the team, they then bring him to the finish line.
Feels like he's overdue for a bad game because he's either been amazing or actually pretty competitive in losses. So.
Yeah.
Right now, at least, Klid continues to patrol. Double Infernal spawns for the early spiking team. Does sit well for SKT.
And notice how initially Perks and Mickey had some priority in this lane, but now they're like, we can't go anywhere because we know we lose every 3 versus 3. But you got to keep an eye on that ward that's sitting right behind the lane right now. There is the potential for a flank from the side of G2.
All right, teleport is just about available for Wonder. The engage is coming in. That's already won thanks to Chains of Corruption. Mickey's able to escape for a few seconds longer. Gets unburrowed and knocked up. Now Faker's down to 200 hit points. Wonder's teleport still not available. Here comes Caps. He's caught by Klid. Void Rush has already been used. The Emperor's Divide goes out, and that's a dead Cap. You can't get away from it. The Cataclysm comes down, at least a reply back, and crucially, it's a shut-down gold secured. Now Wonder not going to be able to TP. He is running for his life. Already used the flash and the W, and Khan is able to win the fight. Now they re-engage, this time from Faker under the tower. Perks is trying to get the damage out as Yanko stays alive. The tower helping out. Faker goes down. Here comes Khan. No slicing Maelstrom. The target for now is Mata. The turn, the burn. Mickey comes in with the interrupt, and Perks gets himself a kill. 3 for Yankos, 1 for Perks.
What started off as a beautiful dive from the side of SKT ends up being countered by a drawn-out fight that G2 are able to buy time for. And it's Jankos that ends up picking so many of the kills up, buys enough time for the team, and I don't even know who came out on top of that.
I think overall, G2 will love the spot they found themselves in. Remember, they've got the scaling and a lot of immediate gold injections. A shutdown from Clid is passed over to the enemy. And overall, it just feels like SKT were trying to play completely from the G2 playbook. But by the end, you could see where perhaps G2 had a bit more confidence.
Wow. Crazy stuff, but Clid still sitting at 5-1-1 on this rec side. Still exceptionally strong, and someone that G2 have to respect, but they have their eyes on him right now. And notice that the Azir is sitting in mid lane, could potentially roam down, but G2, they're going to disengage. They don't want to look for a fight or priority around the river as the dragon spawns in a minute.
No teleports on either top laner. As it stands, completed Blade of the Ruined King for Teddy, into Thrift Shopping for Perks, and Perks is down 20 CS in that lane. So the next Infernal Drake in 40 seconds could be a big one for SKT.
And I'd like to draw the viewer's attention to something that also fits into our chatter about it being early game versus late game here in terms of identity. There's no Gunblade on Kennen. Usually Gunblade against Vladimir allows your staying power in the lane to increase because you can stain through with Harass. This time it's the Proto Belt, it's teamfight initiation. It's getting the game done around Baron spawning a clock.
And on top of that, the converse, or the inverse rather, is that Caps is actually running the lethal tempo, and it's going very much towards the high attack speed Azir build, which is very much geared towards the 2-3 items in the late game. He gets those 3 soldiers up, and he does an insane amount of damage.
It is still a 2,500 gold deficit for G2 Esports, and Jankos is going to try to even something out. Yep, Faker, no flash. Cataclysm is up for Jankos, but with the Rift Herald being summoned in the top lane, Khan will be able to deck a bunch of these turrets. Actually, we'll just take the whole tower, and Khan will accelerate his lead even further.
Zonius will be coming in early, but G2 actually leashed this Infernal down to 2,000.
All right, Emperor's Divide stolen away by Faker. The Dragon is going to go low. Secured this time by G2 Esports. Chain of Corruption starts to spread. SKT will easily pick up a kill onto Mickey and Jankos, but it is, of course, at the cost of the Dragon. Add in the tower gold. SKT, I think, will be happy with that.
SKT pretty much get everything that they could want because they can likely convert this into more tower plates in the mid lane. Caps runs the risk of getting dived. While he does still have the ultimate, he has to be careful.
He does indeed. No flash available to him. Uses the Conquering and Shifting Sands to escape. While that's happening, Teddy and Mata are pushing the bottom lane. They're taking even more plates down there, and it's SKT early game. 5,000 gold. And this is going to be a teleport here from Caps just to try defend. Remember, still no flash, and every time I see Clid step forward, I'm just like, he's going to kill someone.
It's just such a fascinating game state, Vedius and Quickshot, because the Infernal plays into how strong this game will eventually get from a team composition point for the side of G2 Esports, but the immediate gold of the plates gives SKT more agency now. So the Infernal really only doubles down on what G2 will have as an inevitability. So SKT just continue to keep up the same game plan, and G2 still pretty happy about an Infernal.
And you can understand that G2 decided to go for the Infernal because they noticed that, hey, Rek'Sai's top, he's using the Rift Herald, but because of how quickly he took it and because of how slow G2 were to react, it was very easy for SKT to actually force that fight, get the collapse, and even without Khan, they were confident that they could win out in that exchange.
Are we in a situation where the gold lead is substantial enough to believe that this is SKT's game? And the question is, if, you know, where are the comeback opportunities? Obviously, defend and team fight, right, for G2. But there's got to be that breakpoint where the lead is just too insurmountable.
I think we're on the precipice, but I think SKT have definitely hit their early timings running, so I think SKT are happy about their position, but they have to reevaluate on kind of a 30-second cadence. Every 30 seconds, have we done enough to move our agenda up more and more? Whereas G2 are not in completely a hole. They are with some kills, they are with an Infernal, and they are able to stick it. So we don't know the answer just yet, but I think SKT overall, I wonder on Varus' next side, do you go Rage Blade to maximize your damage, or do you go a more Malmortius to frontline? I feel like there's advantages and disadvantages to both decisions.
Yeah, item breakpoints are kind of what I'm looking for with response to Papa Smithy, because, like, as he rightly says, I think that G2 are at a point where, even though they're at a deficit, once they hit, like, 3 items specifically, that's when I feel they can actually look for fights. But SKT have such a massive lead, they have so much freedom and control to force these fights, and the question honestly becomes, will G2 actually be baited into going for these exchanges?
Oh, flash for flash. Caps looked for the Emperor's Divide. Faker responded, and he's stolen away the Hemoplague.
And just as a final thought, this tournament, more than any in history, scaling has been a dirty word. The scaling comp usually doesn't work, in spite of what the paper might suggest.
Well, let's find out. Flash forward from Wonder. He's going to use the Vlad passive and throw down the W. Khan cannot escape, and that's an easy kill there for Wonder, but he expended everything he had.
So breakpoints is exactly what we were talking about, and for Vladimir, level 11, with the Proto Belt completed, we can now see that in that 1v1 matchup, things are starting to go in favor of Wonder, and as the game progresses, it's going to keep shifting.
Oh, Perks is already blown up. Clid just uses that Queen's Wrath to perfection. Now Caps, Emperor's Divide is still on cooldown. Mickey forced to flash over the wall. Justice Punch to safety. Uses the stopwatch to avoid the Void Rush. Not going to go down yet until Teddy finally cleans him up. Now Yankos, he uses the stopwatch. Hemoplague thrown down. Remember, Faker stole that earlier. He's going to escape with his life. Yes, Wonder got the kill, but it's Perks and Mickey that got dunked in their own jungle.
And it's Clid that is the player that we keep watching to help SKT maintain this lead. 7-1 and 3, 100% kill participation so far for the SKT jungler. This guy has been on a tear in the early game, has the Black Cleaver completed, and as long as he is still on the Rift, G2 are going to struggle to find ways back into this game.
And you can see that he's handedly ahead of everyone else in the Rift. Remember, he doesn't trade in lane and get damage numbers. This is purely from his gank timing. It's very rare a jungler has the most damage done by this margin.
Well, when you've got 7 out of the team's 10 kills, I think that will skew it just a little. But yes, the point still stands. Very rare for a player at this caliber, at this level, to have this amount of impact. And now with the Black Cleaver to back it up, I mean, just look how quickly Perks dies.
So Perks has no vision on this side of the map. He gets spotted out because of Clid's Tremor Sense, and he immediately gets blown up, and it costs Mickey his life as well. So honestly, that was just greedy pathing from Perks, face checking an area of the map that they really shouldn't have.
And then the problems spill over to the other members. Who gets away, has stopwatch, but unfortunately, the cavalry are there. So definitely, it was the dominoes falling, but they were set up by Perks' kind of lazy exit from the base.
And for me, one of the...
Wait. Slicing Maelstrom just come up. Wonder will get stunned. We'll get a big chunk of heal from the Hemoplague and bring it back to 50%.
And with these items, remember, no Gunblade, Proto Belt. It's a Kennen built for teamfighting. It goes back to the old analysis of Vladimir outscaling Kennen in the 1v1, and that's the best news story for the side of G2.
Now, the Morellonomicon has been completed on Khan, so having that healing reduction will definitely be a little bit more valuable in the 1 versus 1. But with regards to the rest of the map, SKT is still maintaining control, and we can see Yankos getting pushed further and further out of his jungle as Clid pushes this vision line up even more.
All right, first tower secured by G2 Esports in the top lane at the cost of the mid lane and the Infernal. That's 2 Infernals for SK Telecom. 6,000 gold lead for the time being. And we're still waiting to see how and where G2 Esports can start to claw this game back. Obviously, scaling and time is what they need. They're going to be very careful on how many objectives they concede.
So what I find particularly funny is the fact that Wonder he had 2 levels, he now only has 1, but he's pretty far ahead in terms of experience. He's ahead in farm, yet he's still down in gold, thanks to all of the turret plates the Khan picked up early on into the game. And this is something you were talking about, Papa Smithy, where even though G2 have this scaling aspect, the amount of overall gold they lost from all the plates that were handed over is kind of cresting this period in time where G2 is slowly getting stronger, but it maintains SKT's lead.
Obviously, if you don't have the